Hello, my name is Dr. Jack, and in this video it is a continuation of my previous video that I just did, and that was about chronic pain and smoking. And so if you haven't seen that video, please feel free to check it out. I'll link it above in the corner here, as well as down below in the description. For this video, I wanted to kind of go through how to go about quitting smoking, as well as talk about some resources and strategies that you should consider, and also my experiences as a physician. And so stay tuned, let's just jump straight into it. Welcome. I am Dr. Jack, and this channel focuses on helping you live a healthier, happier, and wiser life through knowledge. As always, please don't forget to hit the like button as well as subscribe to support the channel and hit the notification bell so that you know when my next videos pop up. So I'm assuming you're watching this because you've decided to quit smoking, and so I think that is just awesome. You know, this is a conversation that I have every day in my pain clinic to patients, and so many patients show up with chronic pain, tobacco abuse, and smoking issues. And so this is something that, you know, is very dear to me in regards to helping others and helping them quit this very addictive habit that affects their health in so many different ways. I applaud you for even watching this video if you're looking to quit, because as I always tell my patients, I'm their biggest fan and their biggest cheerleader in sort of rooting them on and hoping that they will ultimately achieve tobacco cessation. Once you've quit, it is likely the single most important thing you can do for your health at this time. Not only will it decrease things that are obvious, such as cancer, allow you to breathe better, and help with your chronic pain issues, as I discussed before. After talking to so many patients and so many people and seeing them sort of go through the difficulty of quitting tobacco abuse, that this is something that is extremely difficult. In some studies, smoking has been linked to be as addictive as heroin or cocaine mentally. So this is something that is very hard to do. In my opinion, what's important is that you start the process of trying to quit smoking. It very well may take a few tries, and studies have shown that, you know, a lot of people need to try several times before they ultimately quit smoking. I would encourage you to have the mindset of quitting one time and quitting permanently. But if you do fall off the wagon and ultimately ended up smoking again, I think the important thing to keep in mind is to figure out what were the circumstances and the reason as to why you started smoking, and how you can go about correcting that issue so that you don't make the same mistake in the future. Then immediately get back on that horse and basically set another date for you to quit smoking again. Just know that your loved ones, your family, your friends, everybody's rooting you on to quit smoking because of all the health effects and how it can extend your life in the long run. So naturally, the first step is to figure out a date. Figure out a date, ideally during the kind of warmer months. I would not suggest setting it, say, in February to quit smoking when seasonal depression is at its worst and kind of the long winter has got you kind of down and you can't go outside and sort of keep your mind busy and distract yourself from the craving of nicotine withdrawal and wanting to go in and smoke and all these things. And exercise is very important as well. And so it'd be easier to go out and say go for a walk or a light jog or something if it's warmer outside. In the same mindset, if you are going to set the date to quit smoking, you know, make sure you set it during a time, especially for the first week or two, at the very least, where you won't be experiencing a lot of stress. You know, setting it up during a week where, say, the in-laws are coming in town and staying with you may not be the best time to do it, or if you have big exams coming up, if you're in school, or you're thinking about breaking up with your boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever, you know, those would be sort of not the most ideal times to quit smoking and add even more stress to your life. When you think about this date, think about also sort of pampering yourself and getting yourself out of that environment. If it's possible, plan to take a trip, say to visit a friend somewhere out of town, and preferably someone that doesn't smoke, and don't bring your cigarettes with you. You know, get out of your environment and go stay with that friend, go have a good time, because the importance of getting out of your sort of environment and the situation that you're in various studies have shown that it really does help to long-term help you with ultimately quitting smoking. If it's not possible to visit a friend, then maybe think about various things to keep yourself busy that week. Kind of pamper yourself and reward yourself. Go get a massage. Or if there is a hobby that you want to restart or something, maybe look into that, or start looking into researching exercise and doing things like yoga exercises or something like that. Anything that will kind of keep your mind busy and keep your mind off of wanting to grab for a cigarette will help you in the long run. And I say for the first week or two in regards to it being the most difficult because especially that first week. That is when your body will go through nicotine withdrawal. Thereafter, it is more of sort of the mental aspects and emotional aspects of not wanting to reach for a cigarette in regards to, things like anxiety, depression, and all those things might play a bit of a larger role moving forward past that first week once the actual physical or nicotine withdrawal is over. On WebMD, we will go over where they talk about all the different stages of what to expect when you actually quit smoking. And I'll put a link down below to get to this, but here they list the effects as you are essentially quitting smoking. And within the first 30 minutes to 4 hours, the effects from the nicotine will wear off and you'll start to crave another cigarette. Within 10 hours, you'll be very restless, physically craving a cigarette and wondering how to fill the time. You may feel sad and hopeless. About 24 hours, that's when the irritability kicks in and your appetite starts to increase. Then at about 2 days, you'll start to experience perhaps headaches as the nicotine leaves your system. About 3 days later, the nicotine should be gone at that time and your cravings will taper off, but that's when the anxiety will basically start to rise. About a week out, that is awesome. So pat yourself on the back and you've gotten through sort of the physical aspects of quitting tobacco. And the important part here is to basically avoid those triggers that we talked about. About 2 to 4 weeks, so up to a month, you still won't have a lot of energy, but you'll notice that the brain fog will be starting to clear up and your appetite will settle down, and things like the coughing, the depression, and anxiety will also start to improve. And at about 5 weeks on forward, the challenge is stay strong mentally, as that is what you will be fighting in the long term. And I say all this because, in my opinion, it is very important to know what to expect so that you don't get blindsided by anything that happens. And once you set that date, leading up to that point, I would also suggest changing your environment. So doing things like, getting rid of ashtrays, clean your furniture and the drapes or the inside of your car, and as well as your clothes. Anything that kind of has a very, very strong sort of tobacco odor to it, or anything that is associated with smoking, I would try and get rid of and get out of your environment. And there's a great book called Atomic Habits. I ultimately plan on doing a book review about it. But in that book, he basically goes through and discusses how all these sort of little environmental cues sort of set off habits, whether good or bad, obviously in this situation is bad, that we are not aware at a subconscious level that makes us crave or want to do certain things that are actually bad for us. And along the same lines of talking about the environment, a lot of people, they sort of have situational smoking issues. And so what does that mean? It means going to parties or social events, going to a bar or something like that. People tend to smoke more. So try and change up the environment and avoid places where you think about actually smoking. And for that fact, if you actually are tempted to smoking, maybe go jump in your car or go walking somewhere where they don't allow smoking to sort of help you kind of fight that urge even further. Think also about various habits. So a lot of patients that I talk to, they get up in the morning and they go make a cup of coffee, sit down, watch TV or eat breakfast, and they automatically light up a cigarette. You may not realize it, but that entire sequence of events in the morning, if you keep sort of getting up and, making a cup of coffee and sitting down and watching TV or whatever, that craving to want to smoke is going to be quite significant. And so think about changing your behaviors in the morning and, maybe have a cup of coffee and sit outside on the porch, or, don't watch TV and do some reading or something like that. Make some type of change in the environment so that you don't have these sort of various associations in your mind that will make you want to crave a cigarette even more. And some of my patients, they talk about wanting to smoke when they're at home and say they're on the phone. And as they're talking on the phone to various clients, they'll want to smoke just as sort of something to do. So I suggest, getting a pen and paper and doodling, or I don't know, those little fidget spinners or something to kind of keep your hands busy. A lot of people smoke just kind of out of habit and sort of the emotions of doing something with their hand or doing something with their mouth. And as far as the oral sensations, what I suggest is getting things like chewing on carrots or chewing on celery, or getting some Nicorette gum or just chewing regular bubble gum if you want. And Something else that may help are sunflower seeds, but be careful, some of them have a lot of sodium. So all types of various strategies and ways to sort of going about busying yourself so that you set yourself up for success. So now that you've set a date, you're getting the environment all set up to sort of have the highest chance for you to be successful. The next thing that I typically encourage people to do is just get a note card or a sheet of paper and write down on there why you want to quit smoking. What is your motivation to quit smoking? Whether it is to reduce your chances of cancer, are you doing it for your children, for your grandchildren, because you want to live longer, to be a great role model? Are you doing it because finances are tight, money is tight? And, last I looked, cigarettes are like $6.25 around about there. If you're a pack-a-day smoker, that adds up, right? I mean, the span of a month and span of a year, several years. That is actually one strategy that I tell people, consider taking the money, say, we'll just make it easy, take $5 a day for every day you don't smoke, get a anti-smoking jar, if you want to call it that. Every day that you don't smoke, put $5 into the jar, and then every 3 or 6 months, just treat yourself, whether it is to, buy something that you've always wanted or to go on a trip that you've always wanted. Do something with that will make you happy, or something that you've always wanted to do. One other thing to sort of consider is doing a buddy system in that regards as well. When other people hold you accountable or there's peer pressure, that could also be a powerful motivator to sort of stay on the track of quitting smoking. I've had patients basically at work or with family members and friends get a group of people, and they would get a jar and they would each put $5 into it every day that they have quit smoking. And, if someone ended up smoking, then they sort of lost out on that money. However, those that continue to not smoke, what they would do is basically split that money after a period of time, and they would go on like a group trip, or just kind of splurge and go out to a nice dinner or have a nice party. But getting back to why I say write all this stuff down and get some tape is because I suggest that people write it down and basically stick it on the mirror in the bathroom where they go to brush their teeth. Stand in front of the mirror and you would read that card and basically serve as a reminder as to why you are quitting smoking, because I think it would be very easy on a day-to-day basis to sort of lose focus on that. And you can make it as detailed as you want. On there you may also want to put how you're going to go about quitting smoking. So how do you go about quit smoking? There are so many different methods. Some people have found acupuncture to be helpful. Others have tried hypnosis and found it helpful. But the best way, at least based on studies and what I've seen clinically, is if you try to quit cold turkey. I've walked people through in trying to ultimately slowly quit smoking. So say you smoke 10 cigarettes a day, then, set yourself up for every 3 to 5 days, you basically reduce 1 cigarette. So rather than smoking 10 cigarettes, you smoke 9 cigarettes for 3 to 5 days, and then 8 cigarettes for 3 to 5 days. And get a calendar and put that into, your calendar and say, okay, today I'm only allotted this amount of cigarettes. And no matter what happens in life, that is the only amount of cigarettes that you're allotted for that period of time. I think that's sort of difficult because it sort of drags it out. And a lot of people, they find success with just quitting cold turkey. However, quitting cold turkey is when you will sort of have more of the actual physical nicotine withdrawal issues. And you can go out and buy over-the-counter things like nicotine bubble gum or lozenges. And that is suggested because studies have shown that those products do help the immediate cravings. And while on the topic of cravings, that is going to be the most difficult part of quitting smoking. So you have the initial physical part where you'll go through nicotine withdrawal and you're going to crave a cigarette, but then there's the mental part of craving a cigarette to sort of cope with stress and difficult situations and things like that, because for a lot of people, they ended up depending on smoking to deal with all kinds of adversity in life, as I've talked about before. So if you get the craving, realize that if you can just hold out for about 10 minutes or so on average, then that craving should pass. And to keep yourself busy during that time, I had one patient, they would, every time get a craving, they'd get outside and basically walk around the block until the craving subsided, and then they come back in. I had another patient, they quit kind of during the colder months, and they would walk up and down the stairs. So they're accomplishing several things, right? They're exercising as well as sort of distracting their mind and keeping themselves from reaching for that cigarette. If you're, say, stuck in an office or something like that, we'll consider, doing some push-ups or doing some squats or doing something to sort of distract yourself physically. And real quick, I will also go over some really good resources that are out there. This was a website that I came across across that has a lot of really interesting ways to quit smoking, and I looked at each of them. The method that seems to get the most traction actually is this CBQ, or cognitive behavioral quitting method, and you can feel free to check this out. I will put a link down in the description. It's basically a way to help you quit smoking and deal with the actual emotional and psychological aspects of it, and they tout a very high success rate, and they even have a TED talk about it and everything else, and so it's one that I highly suggest checking out. The other one is a quick start app, and this is actually the CDC website. It walks you through basically downloading this app to help you quit smoking through all these various methods. Text-based support, essentially you enter your phone number, your age, and answer a few questions. They will actually send you text messages to root you on and guide you through it and to help you, and it occurs over a period of 6 to 8 weeks. The other one is a nicotine group support, and this is Nicotine Anonymous essentially. This will help you if you need sort of a group mentality to help you quit smoking, and this is best for coaching. And again, the CDC website, you basically just call this number 1-800-QUIT-NOW, and it's your personal coach that will help you quit smoking, and it's just yet another resource that is available on the CDC website. And one last one, and this is best for tracking and journaling and seeing your progress. The Quit Guide is a free app. In regards to all these different methods, the CBQ method seems to have the highest success rate, but it does come with a pretty hefty price tag here. You know, it's not something that's affordable to most people, although I guess if you smoke a pack a day, within less than a year, you could have paid for this. Perhaps first try all these other methods and have this sort of as a backup method, since the price to entry is quite steep. And ultimately, if you feel like you need more help in regards to the nicotine aspect of it, then talk to your doctor about getting a prescription medication such as something like Zyban, or otherwise known as Wellbutrin, or Chantix. Chantix works by basically binding to the actual receptor and essentially making smoking less desirable and decreasing that craving. For Wellbutrin, it works as a brain hormone to decrease the craving. That has the added benefit of helping keep the weight off as well. And we should talk about the sort of added weight effects once someone quits smoking, and that is sort of a real thing, in that about 1 out of 3 people that quit smoking find that within the first week or two they gain maybe 5, maybe 10 pounds, somewhere around there. And so it would be extremely important to focus on adding some type of physical activity during this time when you're looking to quit smoking, as well as look at your diet, what you are eating, and eat a sort of healthier meal, because the nicotine withdrawal and the craving will also sort of gravitate people towards more carbohydrate type foods or sweets and things like that. And so as I tell people, you know, just don't purchase those types of things and have them inside the house when you're going through this period of time where you're looking to quit smoking. And so what you don't want to do is sort of replace one addiction for another, and, you know, replacing nicotine addiction for, say, a sugar addiction or something like that, which sugar actually has been shown to be about 7 times more addictive to the brain than cocaine as well. And that's going to be a whole other video that I want to do, actually, to talk about sweets and starches and weight loss and things like that. And realize that with Chantix and Wellbutrin and medications like this, you do need to start them several weeks beforehand. So once you're setting that date, be sure and plan on that aspect where you need to start it not on the day of that you quit, but a little before, because it does take some time to work. So talk to your doctor about that and how to get started. And that concludes this video. So I hope you found it helpful, and I hope at the very least that I have provided you with enough information to kind of kickstart your journey to ultimately quitting smoking. Again, it's the single best thing you can most likely do for your health at this point. Think about also the secondhand smoke, right? In regards to people that live with you, whether it's your kids or your mom and dad or whoever lives with you, where secondhand smoke is known to kill so many people and cause so many other health issues as well, right? In children, it causes things like asthma, or it can exacerbate asthma. And ultimately, I just applaud you for, watching this video and wanting to take that first step in regards to quitting smoking ultimately. And maybe if it's not your first step and this is your second or third time trying to quit smoking, I hope that I've introduced something new to you. Again, as always, if I did and if you found this valuable, please don't forget to like and subscribe to support the channel and to hit the notification bell as well. And if this video helped you to quit smoking, please come back and put a comment down in the comment section. I always read them. I'm great about responding to them. It'll be very rewarding for me to know that I have somehow made a difference in your life. And so with that, take care, stay safe. Bye-bye. Pura Vida.